Thank you for visiting our channel. Please like, share and subscribe for more exciting food videos. Pastel de Nata, Portugal's beloved egg custard tart. When it comes to Portuguese cuisine, few treats are as iconic as the Pastel de Nata. This crispy, golden pastry with its silky egg custard filling has a history as rich as its flavor. Originating in the kitchens of 18th century monks, it's become a beloved symbol of Portugal's culinary heritage. Today, it's not just a local favorite, it's a global sensation, drawing pastry lovers from all corners of the world. So, what makes this little tart so special? Let's find out. The origins of Pastel de Nata. Before it became one of Portugal's most famous desserts, the Pastel de Nata had humble beginnings tied to faith, resourcefulness and a knack for creating culinary treasures. Its story goes back centuries, rooted in the traditions of Portuguese monasteries and convents. Let's take a closer look at how this sweet treat came to life. A monastic invention. In the 18th century, Portuguese monasteries weren't just places for worship, they were hubs of innovation, particularly in the kitchen. Monks and nuns, known for their ability to create divine recipes, played a massive role in shaping Portuguese cuisine. But what sparked the creation of the Pastel de Nata? At the time, egg whites were heavily used in monasteries for practical purposes. They were mixed into detergents, used to starch clothing, and even applied to clear wine during production. This left an abundance of leftover egg yolks. Waste was not an option, so they turned these yolks into desserts that would eventually become legendary. One of these creations was the Pastel de Nata. The custard's rich yet simple ingredients, egg yolks, sugar, and milk, were wrapped in a flaky yet sturdy pastry crust. It wasn't just delicious, it symbolized the monks' ingenuity in turning excess into excellence. Initially, these tarts were shared within the monastery's walls or offered to visitors and pilgrims. Little did anyone know they were crafting a pastry destined for global fame. The evolution through time. The 19th century was a turbulent time for Portugal. Around 1820, after years of political and social upheaval, many monasteries and convents were forced to close due to the dissolution of religious orders. Monks and nuns could no longer sustain their way of life, and their recipes risked being lost forever. But instead of disappearing, the Pastel de Nata found a new path. In Lisbon, monks from the Jerónimos monastery in Belém sold their original recipe to a sugar refinery. This was a turning point. The bakery associated with the refinery, now famously known as Fábrica de Pastéis de Belém, began producing the tarts for the public in 1837. To this day, this remains one of the most iconic places to sample authentic pastéis de nata. From there, the pastry spread throughout Portugal. Recipes were adapted by home bakers, cafes, and patisseries. Each put its unique twist on the original creation, yet the core elements, crispy layers of pastry and creamy custard filling, remained unchanged. The commercialization brought the dessert out of the monasteries and into the hearts of everyday Portuguese people. Today, Pastel de Nata is a proud symbol of Portugal's culinary legacy. Its journey from humble monastic kitchens to bustling cafes showcases its timeless appeal and ability to adapt through history. Key ingredients and craftsmanship. The magic of Pastel de Nata lies in its simplicity. There's no need for fancy ingredients or over-the-top techniques. Yet, the true beauty of this beloved tart is how these everyday items are transformed into something unforgettable. The mix of a velvety custard filling and a crisp, buttery crust is what sets it apart. Let's break this down. The perfect custard filling. At the heart of every Pastel de Nata is its custard. This isn't just any filling, it's creamy, rich, and perfectly balanced. The main components, egg yolks, sugar, and cream, work together in a way that's almost alchemical. Egg yolks are the star of the show, giving the custard its unmistakable golden hue and smooth texture. It's not just about looks, though. The yolks provide that lush, melt-in-your-mouth creaminess that makes each bite so satisfying. But where would custard be without sugar? It's the backbone of sweetness here, balancing out the richness of the yolks. The trick is achieving a flavor that's indulgent but not overwhelming. Too much sugar, and you risk losing the subtleness that makes this dessert so special. Lastly, cream, or sometimes milk, ties everything together. It adds a silky texture and lightens the mix just enough. The end result? A custard that's creamy but still firm enough to hold its shape while baking. The real secret, though, is in how you cook it. The custard must be heated gently, with constant stirring, to reach just the right consistency, smooth and free of lumps. A slight caramelization happens during baking, adding even more depth to the flavor. Every element is in the perfect ratio, like notes in a symphony. Handmade puff pastry crust. A pastel de nata isn't complete without its signature puff pastry crust. Golden, flaky, and buttery, it adds the perfect crunch to balance the creamy filling. Achieving this level of perfection, though, requires serious skill. Making puff pastry from scratch is no small task. It begins with simple ingredients: flour, butter, water, and a pinch of salt. But the magic lies in the technique. Layers of butter are meticulously folded into the dough over and over again. This process, called lamination, creates those paper-thin layers that puff up during baking. What makes the crust for a pastel de nata so unique is its thickness and texture. It's rolled thinner than you might expect, ensuring that every bite has a delicate crispness without overpowering the custard. The dough is then coiled and pressed into small molds, creating that distinctive circular pattern you see when you cut into the tart. During baking, the butter in the dough melts, releasing steam and creating those airy layers. The result is nothing short of perfection, a crust that shatters into fine flakes with every bite yet has enough structure to hold the creamy filling. It's easy to see why many bakers stick to tradition and make this crust by hand, despite how time-consuming it can be. Store-bought pastry just doesn't compare. Each tart is a labor of love, and the care that goes into the crust is the key to its satisfying crunch and buttery finish. Thank you for watching. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe.